Hey everybody, I'm Jack Reed with Future Pastimes. I'm the designer of the Adventures of Conan, which is a new game coming out this year. And in this video, I wanted to talk about one of the elements of the game, and that is the challenge tokens. So these are tokens that are going to appear on the board in certain kingdoms because of event cards, but they can also be brought onto the board by the players using a sorcery action. And a sorcery action is any action that when you use a sorcery from the main phase, if you rolled the sorcery symbol on one of your dice, the foes have a lot of sorcery. The allies have a fair number of them. It's the one symbol that Conan can't roll, although if Conan has rolled a wild on one of their light dice, they can do a sorcery action with that. And a sorcery action, you will draw a face-down challenge token, and you are adding it to your personal supply. In Conan's case, you might not have any in your supply, but every other player starts the game with one challenge token at random, which they can look at any time. They're going to add another one to their pool, and then they get to place one of the challenge tokens from their pool onto the board. It can only be placed in a kingdom that does not have a face-down challenge token or a character token. So if Conan is in a specific kingdom, you couldn't put a challenge token there, but you could put one in an adjacent kingdom. And of course, foes and allies can move challenge tokens to an adjacent kingdom. So you could move a token into Conan's location to force Conan to deal with it, or Conan's ally could move a token into a foe's location to force the foe to deal with it, because when foes move into kingdoms with challenge tokens, they can ignore them. Now, there are 9 different challenge token effects in the base game. 5 of them are actually pretty good, 4 of them are bad, but there are more of the bad ones than there are of the good ones. So the odds are that when you reveal a challenge token, it's going to have a negative effect for whomever reveals it, especially if it's Conan or an ally. So let's take a look at the different challenge tokens and what their effects are. I'm going to start with the good ones. So if you reveal this challenge token here, then you get a fate token of your choice. You can take any fate token. It doesn't have to have anything to do with the kingdom you're in. So you can look at what adventure is likely to happen this turn and take a fate token that matches that, or one that might match an encounter that, if you're Conan, you're likely to face, or an achievement one, if you think you might be able to cash that in at the end of the round to advance on the achievement track. The next one we have is a Kingdom challenge token. So this is a token that once you reveal it, you can use it immediately, or you can hold on to it. It goes on your character card, and any challenge tokens on your character card can be lost if you lose a duel. So you have to remember to try to use those before you duel, just in case. So this can be cashed in one of 2 ways. You can use it to trigger the kingdom effect for the kingdom that your character is in. Remember, allies are wherever Conan is located. Or you can cash it in to just roll the local kingdom die for the kingdom you're in. So if you're in a port kingdom, for example, you would roll the blue port die, and you would usually be getting a fate token, maybe gold, maybe a challenge token, but you could also roll a blank and get nothing. The next one we have is gold. And so if you reveal this, you're going to get gold from the bank in the amount of the tokens indicated. So there's a 1, there's a 2, there's a 3. That's how much gold you would get. We also have, there are 2 of these. These are end game victory points. There's a 4 and there's a 5. So this also goes on your character card, and when the game is over, you will score that many victory points. So if you have this on your character card, again, you would lose it to whoever defeats you in a duel. So keep that in mind. And then the last one that we have is the extra action token. So this one you can use immediately when you reveal it, or you can place it on your character card and use it later on. When you use it, you get to re-roll the die, the last die you spent for an action, and then it becomes an active die again. So whatever the new result is what you'll be able to do in that round. as an extra action. All right, now we're on to the bad tokens. There are 4 types of bad tokens. So we're going to start with this one. This is lose a fate. So we had gain any fate. This is lose a fate token of your choice. So the good side of that is you get to pick which of your fate tokens you're going to lose, but you are losing a fate token immediately upon revealing it. And if you don't have that many, that's going to be extra bad news for you. Our next one is the ambush token. So when this is revealed, the next foe in player order may choose to move immediately to whichever kingdom the player who revealed it is located. So usually you're looking at a duel. A sudden duel is happening, and the ambushing foe is the attacker in that case. They'd get a local fate token for initiating a duel, and you proceed from there, forming warrior pools and fighting it out. That foe may, instead of jumping into a duel right away, they may choose to place an active die onto the encounter track and on any space there, and the die doesn't have to match the symbol there. And this means that, yes, you can put a character result on that space, since it doesn't have to match. It can be any symbol. And that's just going to help unlock the encounter. Now, if you're playing a 2-player game or 3-player game where there's only one foe, and the foe is the one who reveals it, they're not going to be moving to ambush, because they're not going to be moving at all. They are the only foe, but they can use it to put an active die on that encounter track. Otherwise, nothing really happens. Our next one is the Temple of Set. So there are a number of these tokens. And when this is revealed, it stays face up in the kingdom where it's located. And that means if you've got a face-up Temple of Set in a kingdom, on any subsequent turn or what have you, a player can place a challenge token face down in that kingdom, and one may be placed by an event card. And that token could also be another Temple of Set. There's no limit to the number of Temples of Set that can be revealed in a kingdom. So what happens when you reveal it, when it's revealed, there's an immediate effect when it's revealed, and then there's an effect whenever a character enters that kingdom. So if it's revealed by Conan or an ally, or they are the ones entering a kingdom with a face-up Temple of Set, they lose a fate token of their choice. And so that's what that little symbol there means. They lose a fate token. But for a foe, any foe who reveals it or moves into that kingdom will score 2 victory points. And that's what that one is for. And so as a foe, if there's a Temple of Set in a kingdom, they can move in, get 2 victory points, and then they can move out on another action, and then they can move back in. And in fact, if I'm playing as a foe, I'm looking to see if I can get a Temple of Set in 2 adjacent kingdoms, and then I can just move back and forth and scoop up victory points. Now, the Temple of Set can be removed, and that is if a player initiates a fight with the Temple of Set. So as your action, you say, I'm going to fight the Temple of Set. You form a warrior pool, and then you roll the warrior pool, and you need 2 hits. So if you get 2 hits, you destroy the Temple of Set, but there are no victory points for you. If you fail, there's no penalty. So there you have it. That's the Temple of Set. Good to get rid of. And then the last kind of challenge token is a fight token. So there are 3 different types. Most of them are 3 fights, 3 warriors. There's one that's 2, and there's also one that is a 4. So the way they work is the same. If you reveal this token, you must immediately have a fight. It's kind of like a barroom brawl or a bunch of thugs assaulting usually Conan, but it could be any of the characters if you're revealing it. You form your warrior pool, and the number of warrior results on that token are how many warriors you need to roll. So remember, when you're forming a warrior pool, you can choose any active dice that are warrior results, that are wilds, or that are characters, because you can deploy those characters to warrior to form the pool. But when you're rolling, you have to roll a warrior or a wild to count it as a hit. The good thing is that any of those results that you roll, you may then re-roll. Any non-warrior or wild result is a spent die. It moves over to your spent dice, and you just you lose that die. It does not going to do anything for the rest of that round, or for that phase at least, and you don't get to re-roll it. But as long as you are rolling warriors, you can re-roll warriors. And once you've hit the number that you need, so even with one die, if you roll a warrior or a wild 4 times in a row, you can successfully defeat the fight. So if you do, once you've rolled enough warriors, if you're able to do that, then any of your warriors or wilds on your last roll move back to your active pool. So you can still do actions with those. But, and you would also score victory points equal to the number of necessary warriors. So here it's 4 points. And as you can see on this one, it's 3 points, and it would be 2 for the 2. If you are unable to roll all the warriors, or you're not able to roll at all, you suffer a wound. And that's what that symbol down there is. And remember, a wound is you take an active die and you remove it for the rest of the round. If you don't have any active dice, if you have any dice on the encounter track, that's what you have to lose. Otherwise, it's any of your spent dice you just set aside for the rest of the round. You won't be able to use them on encounters or adventures. So those are the challenge tokens. The challenge tokens can be very effective tools for the foes and even for the ally. You can place one in a kingdom where you think Conan is going to go, especially an adventure kingdom. And for foes and to some degree allies, the fights can be very effective for wounding Conan so that when it comes to encounters, he'll have a harder time succeeding, which often leads to a wound there. But ultimately what you're trying to do is wound Conan so that that player has fewer dice in the adventure round, because then they'll be forced to use the other player's dice to complete the adventure, and that's a good way for them to score victory points. The other bad effects, of course, the Temple of Set is great for foes. Having somebody lose a fate token is good. And some of the other effects, too, can be handy. As a foe, if you get one of the good ones, you can place that token close to you and move in. You know what it is, and then you can get gold or get an extra reroll of a die or a fate token of your choice. Same thing with allies. Allies can do the sorcery action a lot more easily than Conan because they have a sorcery result on some of those dice. So they can place those tokens in Conan's path, hoping that they're the one who moves Conan into that kingdom, which means they would be the one revealing the token. Sometimes it's a bluff. You're putting a token down just to divert Conan from a specific kingdom or have them go to maybe a different adventure. If you move Conan to where that player has to do an adventure where the dice are worth more points, that may be because you're hoping Conan has to use your dice in the adventure. As Conan, if you know that you're like, oh, probably going to have to rely on other players' dice, you want to go to the 1-point adventure so that you're not giving away as many points. So that's part of the strategy of the Adventures of Conan, using those challenge tokens effectively as a way to throw some surprises in Conan's path or get some boons for yourself. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about challenge tokens. There are new challenge tokens that are introduced in each of the expansions. And in fact, solo mode has a bunch of its own challenge tokens, which can be used in multiplayer as well, but they're especially effective for the solo mode. And once I get a physical copy of those expansions and the solo mode as well, I'll do a video going over all of those challenge tokens too. That's it for this video, everyone. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.